Today's episode of Formidable Opponents is brought to you by HelloFresh. Do you feel like you're stuck in a dinner rut? With HelloFresh, you get fresh, pre-measured ingredients with mouth-watering seasonal recipes delivered right to your door. Skip all those trips to the grocery store and count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy, fun, and affordable. You can now enjoy cooking and get dinner on the table in 30 minutes or less. With over 25 recipes to choose from each week, there is something for everyone to enjoy. All recipes are designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. You know, I had the opportunity to make their Hall of Fame firecracker meatballs with the roasted green beans and jasmine rice. So good. I'm not much of a chef, but I made this for the family, and it was a simple and delicious hit. Yeah, my kids were shocked I made something spectacular outside of peanut butter sandwiches. Go to the link in our show notes and get $80 off, including free shipping on HelloFresh, the #1 meal kit. Today's episode is also brought to you by DB. DB is a Scandinavian brand that makes backpacks and bags to help people on the move stay ready for anything. From the streets to the peaks, DB's gear is travel tested by some of the world's best athletes, adventurers, and creators. Over the past decade, DB has designed and developed, released, and refined the best bags in the market. With DB's patented hookup system, you are able to attach smaller products to your backpack, roller, or tote. You know, their backpacks and bags are not only durable, they are also beautiful. No matter if you're going on a short road trip to visit friends and family or flying to an exotic destination, DB's gear will raise some eyebrows. They are a great conversation piece. Trust me, people judge you on your luggage. Invest in a product that looks spectacular, is reliable, and affordable. We are teaming up with DB to exclusively offer our listeners 10% off your next purchase by using the code POD10 or going to the link in our show notes. DB, it's time to move on, time to get going. And now on to our show. Welcome to episode 29 of Formidable Opponents, a show that pits three people who have known each other virtually their entire lives in a series of conversations as we argue what is the best in the variety of fun, engaging, and critical pop culture topics we all debate about. I'm Randall, and with me, as always, Bob and Joseph, and today's topic is Best Movie Athlete. Before we start, we want to give a shout out to Dina at Creative Little Pill for the artwork this week. Follow her on Instagram at Creative Little Pill. Best movie athlete. You got to love sports movies, but you can't have a great sports movie without a great athlete, or at least somebody that could play one, right? The underdogs, the backstories, the drama. Movie athletes provide everything we wished we knew about the real athletes, their triumphs, their faults, their humility, their vulnerabilities. Movies allow us to get that 360-degree view. Yes, they examine the fault of our sports heroes, but they counter that by providing the very best versions of these athletes on the field of play. The field of play coupled with esoteric human struggle that only the best fake athletes can convey. And if done right, we as audience members completely understand. We are there with them all through the wins, losses, and demons. The thing about sports movies, you don't have to always worry about huddles, commercial breaks, and many times those anticlimactic blowouts. Sports movies and the actors who play athletes in sports movies live forever. No matter how many drug-fueled nights Charlie Sheen has had with porn stars and prostitutes, he's forever Ricky Vaughn in our hearts. Ralph Macchio could have a critical role in a drama where he's a war hero dying from a debilitating disease. And the first thing audiences will say, that guy who played the Karate Kid fucking nailed it. Fictional sports heroes cast a shadow almost as big as their true-to-life counterparts, but they reap all the benefits of well-crafted scenes, visionary directors, on-set experts, and of course, editors. Fancy cutaways, intense slow motions. Bob and Joseph, we're talking Best Movie Athlete today. How are you guys doing?
Doing pretty good, man. How's everybody doing today?
Doing good. Great topic to hit. To talk about tonight.
It's that time of year where we have all these sports colliding. We got, football seasons in full gear, basketball training camp starting, hockey.
Don't talk basketball during the football season. God damn it. I have this argument every day, all the time with my buddies at work. Quit talking about basketball. It's football season. Son of a.
We're always colliding all those major sports, and of course, soccer's always there. Go ahead, Joseph.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Okay.
Yeah, right. That's probably the last thing I want to talk about. No, it's about 90% football for me, and 10% baseball.
Baseball.
As long as my team's still in it, then I'm watching. So, but yeah, sports colliding. I guess if you want to talk about that.
I was just a quick sports plug. I was talking to Bob before you got here, Joseph, and I was talking a little bit about Ted Lasso on Apple Plus.
Mm-hmm.
You got to check it. Have you seen that show?
No, I have not.
I'm
not 100% sure. Do I need to have an Apple subscription plus to that for that?
Yeah. Yes.
Is that its own is it its own like streaming service, or do I have to own an Apple device?
No, just a streaming service.
It's random shit we're talking about.
I have no idea. I know we got it, so I think it's just a streaming device. Yeah.
You watch it on your Apple TV or on your Mac?
On Apple TV. So I guess you do need a
so
device.
Fancy.
It's a great show, by the way.
No, well, I mean, they have apps that you can
funny.
download on the Fire Stick and whatnot. So I've actually looked at it because there is some interesting shows on it as well.
You just want to see that Jennifer Aniston show, Good Morning or whatever.
No, that doesn't interest me. It was when I don't know if Steve Carell's on it anymore.
He was on it.
Yeah, he was like, I know he came out in the trailers and all the previews.
He came out
first one. So I mean, I might have to look into that Apple.
I didn't know he came out on that show.
Steve Carell, great athlete on Foxcatcher. By the way, speaking of movie athletes and great movie athletes, Bob, Joseph, what makes a great movie athlete? What are some of the attributes you guys look for?
And they kind of got to be larger than life. Somebody that changes the game or takes over a game. You know, somebody who can put their team on their back and lead them to victory. Somebody who's unassuming usually works out really well, like the Rudy character, which is actually a real life person. It's got to be somebody who's great or makes a great play or does something great to win a game.
I agree to it for part of that. Like you said, it's got to be captivating. They don't necessarily have to be, in my mind, the winner or the champion or whatever at the end of the movie. We've seen plenty of great movies where the athlete, sports movies where the athlete, doesn't win in the end. We're talking about like, one of the Rockies.
But they leave with the girl, yeah,
or something. But it, come to mind, I thought about the Friday Night Lights movie, which did take, liberties, I guess, with the story, but, it was an entertaining story. You knew going into it, they're not going to win, but it didn't, the kids or the main kids in the movie that they focus on, they're good athletes, so I don't think they need to, be the champion. Just, got to keep the story going and be captivating, like Bob mentioned.
I'm watching the series Friday Night Lights right now, and because my wife's rewatching it. That Riggins is a hell of a fullback, by the way. Every team could use a Riggins, but we're talking about movies. And for you guys, is athleticism and perceivable skill more important than the act? Do we need an actor that we believe is a good athlete, or do you think, hey, if they could act and they could play it off, they could pull it off with editing, cutaways, I'm good? What do you guys think?
I think it has to be believable to an extent, but also, like if you have a guy that looks like The Rock, the acting skills don't necessarily have to be there if they're just doing some athletic, playing football, fight scene, whatever, some kind of action. But if they don't necessarily look like an athlete or somebody who works out or anything like that, if the acting is good, I mean, they can still be, like Joseph used the word, captivated. As long as you're captivating, I think it still works out just fine.
Something like that too. If you're a good actor, you're a good actor, and if you can pretend, if you can pretend to be good at something for the sake of the movie, then that's all that's going to matter. You're only going to have issues with this if like how Bob mentioned, if you're going to have a kid who looks like McLovin fucking being the starting quarterback for a university in a game or something like that, or an NFL, some kind of NFL movie.
Or
granted, like
Hobbit.
See, so those are the only times you're gonna get into a situation with that. If the actor's good and if they're like Bob mentioned, clearly The Rock's in good shape. He did play sports, so we do know, he has some athleticism, so that works out in his favor. But if you can look the part and if you're a good actor, I don't think it matters. I really don't. As long as they can do the, put on the show like that they were supposed to do.
You said Hobbit, Bob, but Rudy was a Hobbit.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
What about Tom Cruise and all the right moves? He was I'll say cornerback.
That was the 80s.
Yeah, in the 80s. He was playing in Idaho or some shit like that. There, what is that?
Let's talk about a little bit about the actors. I was sharing with you guys early on that I was in the car with my wife and we were listening to a show where they were talking about top 35 actors under the age of 35. And I was talking to my wife about the topic of this show. And I told her, some of these names that they mentioned, I don't think they could play believable athletes. I'm talking about guys like Tom Holland, Timothy Chalamet, sensitive Lucas Hedges. I mean, other than maybe Jacob Elordi from Euphoria, I think he played a lacrosse player on the show. He's a believable athlete. But some of these guys, what do you think? I don't think they make them like they used to. Like Keanu Reeves used to be able to play ice hockey, football, surfing, etc. What do you guys think?
I think I may need to start get a subscription to Teen Vogue because I don't know who the fuck you just mentioned any of those.
Exactly.
Maybe Tom Holland because he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Although I was mentioning.
Wait, did you say Tom Holland? You said Tom Holland, right?
Yeah. Tom Holland, who does do a lot of boxing training and stuff like that on the side. So I think he might be. I mean, he's a small dude, but so are a lot of the actors. But the other guys, I have no fucking clue. I don't know. I don't watch.
You know who Timothy
MTV.
Chalamet is? One of you guys mentioned him a couple of weeks ago.
I know.
Who the fuck is Timothy Chalamet?
I know who he is because I don't
Joseph,
like who that fuck
me.
that guy is. Yeah, I don't know how. It's like Dune. Really? You gonna put that motherfucker?
He's
in
no
Dune?
Matthew Modine
Like,
in
what the
Vision
hell
Quest.
is that?
I'll tell you
Like,
that.
no, don't. I don't. No, those guys aren't believable as any. I mean, it's like we mentioned in with the previous one. They can't play that believable. They're not going to play the quarterback. They're not going to play the fucking boxer. I mean,
the lonely kicker.
They're
gonna play Prince Louis, and didn't he come out as Prince Louis or some shit like that? Is that you're talking about that actor? He came out in a badass show.
Yeah.
That was on Netflix.
Yeah,
like that was an action movie that I think you could pull up. But he plays like a smaller Prince. Dude, he still plays a badass, but him playing like a fucking middle linebacker or a basketball star, I just don't see that. I can't see that.
Adam Sandler's pulled it off. He's been a middle linebacker. He's been a basketball star, and
we laughed at all of them. What basketball star? When was he a basketball
wasn't
star?
it Grown Ups? Wasn't he like
shit, wasn't the NBA? They're playing at a fucking park, man.
Let me ask you guys this. Both of you guys grew up playing sports, a lot of football for both of you guys. What is your best athletic moment? What would you guys say that? Do you guys have a story about that?
Go ahead, Joseph.
No, I don't. I'm sorry. I mean, I can't. There's disappointments, and you can just cut this shit out. I really don't.
There's tears.
I really don't. I can't really think of one particular moment.
What did you play in high school, Joseph?
Football.
But what position?
Baseball.
Oh, center. I was a center. I mean, I wasn't. I mean, yeah, I played baseball, I guess. If I had a good hit. No, I hit a lot of foul balls that were just shy
just a bit outside
of the fucking of the the foul line or whatever. You hit them and they didn't go over just a little bit outside, like you mentioned. So no, but I did. Hey, I had a lot of RBIs and whatnot. So I guess, yeah, that could be that.
You knew how to send those boys home, Joseph. I was thinking about we played a big game in the playoffs. I caused the fumble towards the end of the game that helped us win. I think that might be like my only bright moment ever. So that's kind of cool. It was a big game, my first high school football playoff game. Mm-hmm. It was a big game here in the Valley, and it was cool, man. It was a cool experience to be able to do that or have that play happen, But other than that, shit, I was what you called okay.
I didn't grow up playing sports. I played in a couple of basketball leagues, city leagues. And then so when I was 18, I was a senior in high school and we played in an adult city league because we had two of our players who
both had mustaches.
Yes, they were sprouting great chest hair. They were in their mid-20s. And the reason we had them on our team, because one of them could get us a sponsor. And the sponsor was, I don't know if this franchise still exists. Do you guys remember Checkers?
Yeah, we don't have any here, but they still exist.
Yeah, we used to have one by Walmart.
Great apple nuggets.
Great food.
So they sponsored us and we got killed. We were 0-10, and this was a big adult wide city league. They had teams from like Puerto Rico. We had a team from the Philippines. They were all working at hospitals and whatnot when that influx was going on down there. And we got our ass. It was like the shitty Olympics. We got our asses kicked every week. So the last game, we were 0-9 and we were playing one of the top 3 teams, and we knew we were going to get killed. So I was like, I'm going to go out. I was one of the taller guys on the team, and I was never getting like double-digit points or rebounds. So no, 6'3", and I couldn't score or post up or rebound for shit. But that last game, we were against one of the better teams, and we lost 85-58. But I had 27 points that game, and I was like the happiest of my life. I could have cared less. I couldn't have cared less that we were getting, shut out. I ran to the scores table. Like we won the championship. I go, let me see my box score. Let me see my box score. And to me, that was the biggest thing.
Don't let anybody ever tell you there's no I in team, folks.
Let me see my box score.
Let me see my box score. Even the Puerto Rican team, they couldn't understand what you were saying, but they're shaking their head in disgust at you.
Yeah, 27 points and like 12 rebounds. I went off, and even the other team was like, "Hey, you played a badass game." I'm like, yeah, the scoreboard doesn't fucking show it, but I'm happy, man. Joseph, you said you found a moment.
Yeah, I remember it was I have one, and it was more of a managing moment, but I did play. It was back when we had we used to do the softball leagues on
intramural
softball after after we
played in the men's
graduated.
league. Yeah, we played in the men's league and we're in college. That was badass.
And we had a good team. Bob was on the team, and we had a lot of our friends, and everybody was pretty. I mean, all former high school athletes, things like that. And one day we had a game, and I think nobody could show up, and I was like, I have to, and it was like, I guess I put on the manager hat that day, and we had a roster with like 14 or 15 emergency contacts of random fucking people, just because we needed to have just in case. We never even told them they were like really on the team or anything like that. They're just people that we can call later and show on that they're on a roster. And somehow I managed to put together this ragtag team of emergency contacts that I won't give names to, but and we ended up beating like the team that was in first place somehow, like with shitty pitching and not so great hitting. We were able to just hit the ball into a spot where they weren't, or make them swing at a ball that wasn't the best pitch, and somehow win the game. And that was probably that was pretty cool. I can't believe we did that
moment, being the Tom Berenger
like Morris Buttermaker there. That's pretty good. So guys, let's get to our honorable mentions. Who do you guys have?
I gotta start off with Tekashi from Revenge of the Nerds. I mean, who can fucking drive a tricycle that many times, chugging beers, and still win it all, baby? That was awesome. I had Tekashi, and then Lamar, obviously throwing the javelin.
How do you feel, Tekashi?
Oh, fucking great! I love that scene, man. That's one of the funniest movies of all time. You mentioned Major League, Rick Vaughn and Willie Mays Hayes, great movie athletes. Dottie Henson, obviously in A League of Their Own. That's probably one of my favorite sports movies of all time. She was just the baddest of the badasses in that movie. Scott Bakula is Paul Blake, and Nice Sarah Roughness, baby, coming back as a 30-year-old college student to play football. That fucking movie is awesome, really, really awesome. And he was, of course, this big high school star that couldn't do it. His dad died, had to work on a farm, yada yada. And then he was able to go back to school in his 30s and play again, which is pretty fucking cool. Every has-been's dream, right? But yeah, those are my picks. Those are my picks. Who do you got, Joe?
I had Hamilton, the Babe Porter, Kenny Powers.
Kenny fucking Powers.
I had a few that I can't name because I don't want to give the picks away, but there's just know that they were there. Demetrius Harris, you remember that movie? The TV show Playmakers. It was ESPN.
Yes.
Football. It was an awesome show. Unfortunately, it only lasted one season.
Yeah.
Roy Munson.
Man-child. Roy Munson. Rubber Man.
What was his name? Fulton Reed from the Mighty Ducks. He couldn't skate, but he can hit the shit out of the puck and make you duck and run. And if you were in the way, you were in trouble. So many more. There was, like I said, there was some that I want to talk about, but I don't want to give too much away. So what about you, Randy?
Joseph, you mentioned Playmakers. Great show, by the way. You know why it stopped, right? The NFL was like, stop fucking telling our truth, or we're not going to sell you.
Exactly. They had to pull that show. They were like, you motherfuckers.
They're like, you guys want Sunday Night Football? You guys want to make billions of dollars off us? Stop fucking insulting us. Stop showing cocaine and strippers and parties. The regular stuff, right? Some of the things I mentioned, Benny the Jet Rodriguez, I thought was one of the best one. I also
handsome.
Ricky Wild Thing Vaughn, and I think Charlie Sheen was able to throw about 85 miles per hour. I think that was legit. I think he was he really
No, you're gonna. There's a joke about speed in there that I'm just gonna
leave. Willie Beeman,
Willie Beeman. I like it.
Prototypical scrambling quarterback. Jamie Foxx was awesome. Dottie Hinson. Jimmy Chitwood on Hoosiers, because that guy just did not miss. Won the championship for them. Jesus Shuttlesworth. Now, the only reason I didn't go with Jesus Shuttlesworth was because he was a real athlete. He was a professional basketball player. But I mean, he was amazing. Obviously, he was going to be. Adonis Creed is another one I got. Loudon Swain from Vision Quest. I mean, that guy was
that's what I mentioned earlier. Yeah. And he got the girl. Yeah.
And he got the girl. That's a very underrated movie. I don't think a lot of people have watched
that movie's fucking awesome in the 80s.
But those are our honorable mentions. We're going to go with our selections. Joseph, who do you got?
My pick is Mr. Forrest Gump. Y'all know him. You love him. You either love to hate him, like someone in his life, or or you just no or you just great man, great individual. Anyway, so as a child we learned that Forrest has strong legs but a weak spine, and because of this he's forced to wear leg braces, which make running, let alone walking, extremely difficult and very different from him. If you remember from the film, one day he's being bullied by three kids on a bike, and who were throwing rocks at him, and he tries to escape from them by running away, and by some kind of a miracle he breaks free of his braces, and we're able to see him run on his own and very fast. By the way, you wouldn't believe me if I told you, but he could run like the wind blows. Sometime in high school he's being chased again by the bullies. Only this time they have a car, and again, because of his great athletic speed, he's able to get away. And while he's doing this, he cuts across the high school football field, the local high school that he goes to, running faster than any of the other players on the field. And this catches the eye of the head football coach of the Alabama Crimson Tide, head coach Bear Bryant, or Paul Bryant, whatever you want to call him. He then receives a scholarship to go play at the University of Alabama, where his impressive speed helps the team to win several games. Now, it's not known to us whether he did anything other than just return kicks or punt, or punt returns. It's fair to assume that he scored many touchdowns while doing so, and so much that the fans had to remind him to stop running after he scored. You remember that great scene where he just he's running.
Even the band, it's all the band.
Okay. He doesn't know when to stop. So, they had to do the whole banner thing and the signs in the crowd. So it's again, it's safe to assume that he did this many times and scored many touchdowns for them. Because of this, again, we don't know whether or not he did any kind of played wide receiver or anything, but because of this, anyway, he's his play on the field, he's named to the All-American football team, a very high honor for college football athletes. And after college, he ends up joining the United States Army. There's nothing athletic about this portion of his life, but it's safe to say that due to his athletic ability, the running strength, and his speed or whatnot, he not only survives a conflict during war, but manages to rescue many of his fellow soldiers. So again, I know it's not athletic, but that's instinct, and that skill of him is there. After being slightly wounded during said conflict, during his recovery, he's introduced to the game of ping pong, and for some reason, ping pong came very natural to him. So he started playing ping pong all the time. He played ping pong, even when he didn't have anyone to play ping pong with. He played ping pong so much that he even played it in his sleep. Due to his incredible ping pong skills, he's named to the All-American ping pong team as well. That's two sports, gentlemen, two sports where he's an All-American and All-American teams. I mean, not only did he help Elvis and John Lennon with their respective careers, Elvis got his dance moves and Lennon ended up writing the great Imagine, but he's world famous for this and a national hero. Last but not least, long distance running. I mean, now, I know this wasn't, for any competition or any championships or anything like that, but he ran for over 3 years, bringing hope to many, inspiring others to climb out of their own issues and problems. His running caught the attention of many news outlets and running magazines. Yes, those exist. I did not know that, because why would you want to read about running? But I guess, hey, it's out there. 3-sport individual. You can argue all you want that ping pong might not be a sport, but to tell you the truth, but tell that to any past or present Olympic winners. That stuff is intense and challenging. I've seen it. It's crazy, and you got to have at least some kind of stamina, because you're going back and forth nonstop. Despite all his troubles from a young age and up until pretty much the end of the movie, Forrest Gump, he stands tall and triumphs over all obstacles, even if he didn't realize that they were in front of him in the first place. That's my pick.
All right, so Forrest Gump is so many movies in one. It has so many elements. It's a romance, it's a war movie, it's a sports movie, it's a comedy, it's a historical movie, and that's what's brilliant about it. But it's also what hurts the selection is that sports is such a small piece of the movie. Now, I know you mentioned ping pong. I know you mentioned long distance running. Ping pong,
it's a sport, damn it.
I think Takashi and his tricycle is more drinking beer is more of a sport.
Yes, I'm with that.
Any sport where you could drink beer and eat nachos. I don't know.
Eat nachos. What the fuck? What kind of ping pong are you playing?
Yeah.
We get a couple of sports scenes. We get the football, we get the ping pong and the cross country run. You had that in my notes. He was a brilliant returner, but he didn't understand the concept of football or what football was. He was just a blank slate. Fans had to tell him where to run. He didn't know what the premise of the game was or what an end zone was. He doesn't cut. He doesn't juke. He shows no mental capacity to switch gears or make an intelligent sports decision. He just runs straight. So that football argument, I think, just goes out the window. If Forrest Gump had a decent football IQ, he could at least be a third down wide receiver, but he's only a kick returner. Now, I know he's an All-American, but he was just a kick returner.
Damn right.
You can't trust him on the line of scrimmage or what he'd do down in the open field. We saw Forrest Gump's decision-making. I mean, look what he did for Jenny, somebody who couldn't give two shits about him. I will say that Nick Saban would have probably recruited him as quick as Bear Bryant. But when you look at Forrest Gump, yes, the ping pong's impressive, the running's impressive, and the football running, of course, the kick return, it's impressive. But I think you have to have some sort of mental edge when you're playing sports. We see that with Tom Brady. We saw that with Michael Jordan. All the great ones have this. And I think Forrest Gump was just so instinctive that he didn't have that mental capacity to really understand what he was doing. Therefore, that element was missing in all the sports. What do you think, Bob?
I can agree with that 100%. I think that might hold him back a little bit, but it's a really good pick, Joe, because it's extremely hard to argue against somebody who was an All-American in football. They don't go into too much depth as to what position he played other than kick return or punt return or whatever. But he was another great when it came to ping pong. I think his most impressive feat was, running cross country. Athletes take all different shapes and forms, and it doesn't have to necessarily be a game that they're performing or in or anything like that. But his cross country run where he just ran just to fucking run, probably because he was depressed because Jenny left him for the 18th time in that fucking movie. It's a really, really good pick. And I'm going to say it's a really good pick because of the football and the ping pong and the cross country running. What does hold him back, it seems like he was more like being used in the football sense. Like, oh, you don't know shit about football. That's right. Just come over here and just grab the ball and run, you stupid son of a bitch. And
like Christian McCaffrey.
Like Christian McCaffrey. Oh, shit. Or Christian McCaffrey pulled a hammy. But it's a good pick, man. It's a good pick. It's hard to argue against him. Just somebody who's like a natural athlete in the movie, right? He had to run for his life, a lot of it, which is really sad because he was being bullied a lot. But it ended up like helping him along the way in the future. Got him a scholarship to Alabama, helped save his life in Vietnam, and then kind of like helped him find himself, so to speak, after running cross country. After, like I said, Jenny broke his fucking heart. That jerk.
Well, I will say to your argument, Randy. I mean, I know we don't the sports. You said the sports part of it is not so focused on in the movie. Yes, it's a great movie. We all know it's a great movie, but that's not what we're arguing. We're not arguing whether or not it's the great sports movie. We're arguing if he's the greatest sports athlete, and that's movie athlete. There you go. Sorry, my bad.
No, you got it. You got it right.
I understand your thinking to that, but I mean, you can't deny his sports or his athleticism, whether it be only for a little bit of information about it or a little bit of portion of the story, because it is such a great story that takes you everywhere in that movie. But I know with and to your part, Bob, too, about the football. Yeah, I mean, I can see what you're saying. Yeah, he's kind of being used for just because he can run, but I mean, a lot of people can't read the sign that says, toilet, but doesn't mean they don't know how to use one. So it doesn't have to, just because you don't understand the game doesn't mean you can't be good at it. It's just so that's my thing.
I give him credit. He was a really good movie athlete. I think if he had gone on to have like this great career in a sport, I think it would have maybe pushed it a little more. But like I said, he did so many great things. You can't. It's really hard to argue. It's nitpicking at this point, I think.
I do agree he is a great movie athlete. That I agree with. I don't agree he's the greatest. Ping pong to me is out the window because you might as well say the Beth Harmon in the Queen's Gambit is one of the greatest athletes because she plays chess. Because I just don't think ping pong.
But she doesn't have to run around and fucking swing her arm.
You don't have to run in ping pong. You just shuffle.
Did you see? Have you ever seen competitive ping pong? Those motherfuckers are going crazy.
Rand is thinking about the intramural championships at UTPA back in the day. When athletes with mustard stains.
You know why you lost those days? You know why you lost back then? Because you were eating nachos instead of playing ping pong.
That's why you couldn't run, motherfucker.
Ping pong is a bar sport. I don't think it's a sport.
You call it a sport. You call it a sport.
You call it a sport.
They put so many things in the Olympics nowadays that come on.
If curling's a sport, then ping pong's a sport.
No, Bob, don't say that.
I love curling.
I love curling, man. I will say this about Forrest Gump. The one thing that's really, and I get it because you're making the argument he's a tremendous athlete in several avenues. The running, the reflexes. I mean, everything a good athlete should be, fast twitch muscles, but the acumen is something that I think really lacks. And I think when you're looking at a sports athlete, because when my argument comes around, I'm going to really press that subject. You have to have somebody who knows what they're doing out there and knows every facet of the game to be considered a great athlete. And that's my argument for Forrest Gump or against Forrest Gump.
All right. Turning the table, let's go. Let's going in a different direction, I made a pick that was kind of, off the cuff, a little bit different than everybody else's. I chose Scott Howard and fucking Teen Wolf. The movie came out. Yes. Oh, yes. I love that movie. Movie came out in 1985, the year I was born, which it happened to be one of the movies that I watched religiously as a kid. I remember we had the tape. We rented it from Blockbuster. There was a lot of late fees. I watched it over and over and over as a kid. Even though there's a sex scene in it, it probably wasn't appropriate for a kid my age, like 6 years old, 7 years old, watching this.
It wasn't that bad, but great movie.
Compared to now, right?
Yeah. Bestiality.
Bestiality. Oh man, and you know what's really funny and what's really great about this movie? It's ironically, it's the one movie that made me want to play sports as a kid. It was the movie I would know, like after watching that movie religiously, I wanted to play basketball. I wanted to play football. I wanted to play sports. I kind of wanted to have that kind of moment, that final championship game, the ending always like really like fired me up and got me excited. I wanted to win in the end, just like that fucking song told me, right? And that song still fires me up, by the way. Watching the movie clips over and over this week, hearing that song, I must have played it like 20 times. That song is awesome. It works perfectly with the scene. Okay, now get into my pick. He's a fucking werewolf, for God's sake. This is one thing that makes him do. He's a fucking werewolf. Who the hell is going to stop a fucking werewolf in Adidas from dunking the basketball? Nobody. You'd same thing. You'd be like, oh, fucking Forrest Gump played for the University of Alabama. My guy's a fucking werewolf, bro. Nobody's going to stop him. Nobody's going to tackle him. Nobody's going to get in his way. Nobody's taking the charge. He's going to score at will whenever he wants. The principal and everybody else is pissing their pants throughout that movie in that basketball gym. Because it's kind of, it's not supposed to be scary, but again, he's a fucking werewolf right on the court. Not only that, guys, he doesn't just dominate on the court as a wolf, but he actually shows up as himself, as Scott Howard, as the human, as a person in the championship game, the game for it all, and he helps his team win state. He decides he has that change of heart, looking, thinking about it, thinking. If I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this on my own as me. He goes as himself, shows up as himself to the championship, and he fucking wins. He's this 5'4" white guy with zero muscle tone, but he dominates on the fucking basketball court like he's John Stockton or some shit like that. You deserve to be known as the best movie athlete if not only can you dominate as a werewolf, as this superhuman character, but as their own little dorky self on the court, dominating and helping your team win. Did you see the rest of the team? I mean, you got to look at it like this. If you talk about, Forrest Gump had Alabama, who has a team full of athletes. Did you see who else was on his fucking team playing at the championship? He had a left guard in Chubby. He had some other motherfucker wearing like a Casio watch. Who fucking wears a watch to a basketball game? That's one of the things that really bother me. A lot of the guys didn't even know how to dribble. Did you see how many layups are made in this game? That's the only shot they had. I think fucking Scott Howard was the only one that shot a jump shot other than Chubby's little hook shot at one point in the game. But everybody else is just making layups. They had no fucking shot. No way. So despite all this, despite not being the Wolf, despite having a shitty team around him, being in the state championship, he helps his team. He guides his team to win. He goes 5 for 6 in shooting, 4 for 4 in free throws, finishes off with 14 points, 6 assists, 2 steals on their best player, Mick, especially. So he plays extremely well, makes the final 2 free throws at the end with with no time remaining to seal the victory, to tie the game, and then hits his last one to win the game. Scott Howard, everyone, the teen wolf, the man-child, he just goes off and goes crazy in that game. And he did it in both mediums. He was able to win as the wolf, and he was able to win as himself, helping his team and guiding his team and pushing his team to victory. I think it's kind of hard to argue against him because he's got that one element that nobody else does. He's got that not superhero element. He has that superhuman type of element, that monster element, right? That's something different that helped him become great, or at least realize that he had potential. So you all give me an argument for him. What do you think about Scott Howard?
This one, you know what, Bob? It's an interesting pick. I'll say that. Looked at it like we don't particularly know how good he was as the regular player. We don't see it too much, and it apparently doesn't look too good early on in the game. The games that we do see, I know this is sports are not the focal point, I guess, or the main part of the story, but in the games that we do see, we don't see him to be that great at basketball. Now it doesn't seem it seems like you mentioned at the end, though, he does, kind of get his shit together, at least as he comes out, for it was a championship game. It was something, at least I'm pretty sure it was a big game. I just was never 100%. Game. Okay. So it was cool. Championship game. At the end, he does come out and I guess, in a way you can kind of maybe think like, well, was he fucking cheating throughout this whole time? But no, he decides he's not. He has his, the growing moment and comes out as himself at the end, and they do win this game. He helps the team win this game. But I look at that more as the team got their shit together or realized and believed in themselves, and he was very instrumental in helping them, and maybe like coming out as himself for that last game, saying like, look, we can do this, we can win, let's believe in ourselves. So yes, he did win that game, and he has a pretty big part in that, but it does look like everybody else kind of got their shit together. Chubby makes that, what is that, like that over the hook shot, yeah. Just kind of like just fucking out of nowhere. So it seems like everybody was elevated and they believed in, and that's not a bad thing.
Except for the coach, who looked like he's been smoking weed in the parking lot.
I love him. He's my favorite. He's my favorite.
Like he has zero. Like he doesn't do shit in the game. It's a championship game, and the how crowds
give me some
crazy.
Salt.
Everybody's jumping.
Salt.
Give me some salt. He's just sitting on the bench, like pointing and making eyebrows.
He's trying to forfeit at the beginning. He's trying to negotiate a forfeit.
You want to forfeit the game? Yeah. We'll play if it's that much big a deal to you.
But it seems like the athleticism comes from the superhuman, supernatural strength of the wolf, and so yeah, wolf. I know it's okay. Yes, he's Scott the man in the beginning and Scott the human at the end. This long run of games that they're winning, he's clearly dominant as a wolf. I just don't know if that does that kind of hinder the selection, because every like honorable mention that maybe we listed, even our picks, none of them have like some kind of, unless they're juicing or some shit in the movie. Like I'd have to go back and make sure that every athlete that we mentioned wasn't juicing.
Pedro Serrano sacrificed a live chicken,
something like that. So I see it.
Supernatural. You're trying to say Jesus Christ can't hit a curveball?
Are you telling me that the werewolf isn't supernatural? I see it, and then so I'm kind of like, I think it hinders because of the fact of the wolf situation. But I do see your points with at the end, him coming out as himself, the human, and having a good game and elevating everybody else. And yes, I mean, they ended up winning and it was a great thing. I'm just kind of iffy on the whole thing because a lot of the games he did win, he was as, the wolf, and that it's kind of cheating.
It's not cheating. It's not cheating. It's not like he was taking steroids. This got a little hairy.
Yeah, he can jump fucking 10 feet in the air too and spin.
I will say this. I don't think I could trust anybody whose judgment, or I don't think I could select an athlete whose judgment is selecting Boof over Pamela. What do you guys say about Pamela?
How dare you? How dare you? You don't know what else went on in that 7 minutes of heaven in that closet. Maybe she's got the goods, baby. Maybe she's got the goods.
Both beautiful women, by the way.
Beautiful women.
Excellent. So the history goes that Michael J. Fox didn't want to act in this movie. When Back to the Future was in production, when Eric Stoltz was cast as the Marty McFly character, Michael J. Fox lamented Steven Spielberg's down the street making great movies and I'm playing a werewolf. So it's kind of odd that he got selected for this other movie that made him a big star. Speaking of werewolves, he's not even the most athletic animal. Why didn't you just pick fucking Air Bud or the Disney donkey that kicks field goals? I mean, we got some athletic animals out there.
Again, I don't read Teen Vogue. I don't know what's going on.
So transforming into a werewolf to me, and I had this in my argument, Joseph, so I'm glad you brought this up. It was the ultimate PED. It was the ultimate performance enhancement drug. Before Maguire and Sosa used steroids to break records, Teen Wolf was illegally using this transformation for nefarious purposes. You can't transform and then use that and it be legal. I mean, I don't know about you. I think it's a performance enhancement drug.
You're probably one of those people that had the pitchforks and the silver bullets waiting for him after the game. God damn it.
Horrible form on his jump shot, out there looking like Ben Simmons and Lonzo Ball. So I can't buy that he's a great basketball player.
If they can make it, he can make it.
I get that we're looking at fictional characters, but he was played by two guys, Michael J. Fox and a stuntman named Jeff Glosser, who was a college basketball player at the time, which is a shame because Jerry Levine, who played Styles, did all his stunts on the van. So I don't know if we could count somebody who's really being played by two actors. I know we're looking at the athlete just as the entity, but he was played by two actors.
Even The Rock had a stunt double. You mean to tell me Forrest Gump was really get the fuck out of here?
I don't knock it on the stunt double part, but I do on the
state
the superhuman strength and abilities.
May have been played in like the middle of Idaho, where or something. Where basketball athletes, but
I do give him props for the game at the end. Yeah, I gotta give it up for that and elevating his team. It just kind of like maybe. Well, we wouldn't have the great movie that we do have if he didn't, be the wolf.
Free throws win games. That's all I'm gonna say. Free throws and layups. That's fundamental.
That's very true.
Fundamental.
Very true. And hook shots.
According to director Rob Daniel, there's a vault that contains about an hour of the most embarrassing basketball ever. He was talking about how all these guys couldn't play, that the camera work was really tricky. I do like this analogy. Bill Simmons on his book of basketball compared the wolf to Kobe Bryant, how when he was the wolf taking over, all his teammates were excluded, but once he realized how to bring in his teammates, that's when the team started winning. So I thought that was a great analogy comparing to Kobe Bryant, which is probably the basketball player he's closely resembles. And let's give credit to our buddy Mark Horton, our Instagram friend who played Chubbs. Yes. Once he knocked down that jumper, totally fucks up the Dragon Zone. I mean, everybody remembers that hook shot, but he had two other baskets. He had two other jump shots that he sunk too. And you mentioned Scott's stats, 14 points, 6 assists, and 2 steals. But check out the redheaded kid, number 45. I mean, that guy was a killer. Right? He had like 5 blocks, probably about 12 points.
No shit.
He was awesome.
It was the same block. It was just a different angle because they played such shitty basketball.
He had the same block.
It was like the 18th take. Like, fuck it, just show him blocking somebody again.
He always blocked the same guy from the right side of the key from the back, right? That was always the same one. The movie did have the best T-shirt ever. Styles' black T-shirt, which read, "What are you looking at, Dick Nose?" I thought that was the best. Want that T-shirt? And of course, I have Coach Finstock on my notes. I thought he was great when when Scott Howard wanted to talk to him.
Marty.
He goes into his office and he asks, "Hey coach, I got a little bit of a problem." He's shaving. "Yeah, I'm here for you." And when he starts talking about he thinks he's talking about puberty, he just wants out of that conversation. "I'm a very busy guy. Tax people are after me," and he's such a fucking dickhead coach. I love it.
Well, see, like I said, he's one of the ones who's holding him back. He's holding the whole team back. He didn't even want to play. You can forfeit the game.
I I do have a problem calling an athlete who has to transform into something else the greatest movie athlete.
Well, I think now, like he kind of proved that he didn't need to. You said it was the Kobe Bryant effect. Like at the very end, he realized I don't need to be this supernatural character to go out and give him my all. And he goes and he does that, and he's his normal 5'4" white dude self, Marty McFly, McSuperfly, Scott Howard, and he wins in the end, man. So he ends up winning it all as himself. So I think that's pretty good.
He learned how to control it. Go ahead.
On a side note, let's just say that Teen Wolf 2 sucked so bad.
It was that
horrible? I know he what's his name did that movie
Bateman.
too.
Jason
No.
Mark Horton, our buddy.
Mark Horton. He did the second one too, and I wish
that's
that
the only scene I remember from that.
It could have been so much better. But hey, he did it, and but that one was he just didn't have that same. Yeah, it was boxing. He just didn't have the same magic.
It was I couldn't remember the sport. I was like, wasn't it wrestling or boxing? Yeah,
boxing, but that's to to boxing. Who the fuck's gonna box a wolf?
Yeah, who's gonna fucking box a wolf? You're not gonna stop him from dunking, but obviously you're gonna knock him out. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm gonna go to my pick, and I'm as embarrassed now that I'm completing the white guy trifecta when it comes to best movie athletes. I picked Billy. We all picked separate days, so we all just like, you pick that guy, you pick that guy. Oh my god, this is gonna be an awkward show. But I picked Billy Hoyle from White Man Can Jump. And I'm going to tell you why I chose Billy Hoyle. Billy Hoyle is a former college basketball player who makes his living by hustling street ballers who assume he cannot play because he is white, breaking stereotypes. Woody Harrelson plays the idiot savant role just so adroitly. His vision, his positioning, his play. Billy is actually a true baller and with a deadly jumper. I was talking a little bit about Forrest Gump, not really being a field general. Billy Hoyle's the opposite. The guy knows how to do the pick and roll, the backdoor picks, just amazing, just court general. Keanu Reeves, Charlie Sheen, and David Duchovny were considered for Billy. Part of the audition, I'm going to read this straight from the excerpt. Part of the audition involved shooting hoops at a basketball court at Culver City casting office, and Keanu Reeves couldn't make a jump shot. And Woody Harrelson acknowledged that Keanu Reeves' lack of talent in the sport helped change his career. I probably would have just been Woody Boyd, but for the fact that Keanu Reeves couldn't shoot a basketball, I got the part. So thanks to Keanu Reeves, who looks like a basketball player. I think Keanu Reeves is about 6'2", 6'3". Woody Harrelson got the part. Nike created a shoe inspired by Billy Hoyle in 2009. Were made available with the quote, "I'm in the fucking zone," which was a Billy Hoyle quote. And he's calling out picks. I mean, he's just an absolute animal on the court. When you look at Woody Harrelson, when you're looking at Billy Hoyle, he's calling out picks. He's got a great jump shot. He looks like he knows what he's doing there. I look at Forrest Gump, and I know Tom Hanks is playing the role to perfection. I mean, you can't really argue too many people that were born for a role the way Tom Hanks was born for Forrest Gump. But Forrest Gump, the character, doesn't know what he's doing. He's just going by it. Scott Howard is a wolf, so you can't really see the actual, like, him being the basketball player that he was meant to be until the very end when he plays as Scott Howard and not the wolf. But in every basketball scene, you see Woody Harrelson really coming at it. He's, like I said, he's calling out those picks, those transition cuts, those backdoor play options. He may not have been the most athletically gifted. I will give you that, but neither was Larry Bird, neither was Tom Brady. But Billy
How dare you say that about Larry Bird? How dare you?
Billy Hoyle was a street ball legend. And what does he do at the end? He dunks it. 2 hands on a no-look alley-oop. I still get goosebumps every time he does that scream of redemption. And I will say this. I was looking at some of the production notes on White Man Can't Jump. They said Wesley Snipes was a horrible basketball player. And, of course, Wesley Snipes is more athletic looking than Woody Harrelson. You saw Wesley Snipes with the shorts and the muscle shirt, and he's dribbling everything. The director said they had to do so many trick cuts. They had to, do so many like quick edits and make it look like Wesley Snipes knew what he was doing on the basketball court. The director praised Woody Harrelson, said Woody was a great basketball player. He practiced. He had great stamina. He was an incredible jump shooter. He knew how to, and this is one of Stanley Kubrick's favorites.
Sorry, it sounds like every scout's notes on every white player. Got great stamina, great jump shot. He gives it his all.
He's a hustler. He hustles for the ball. He's got, it's like I'm reading it might as well be like Kirk Heinrich that I'm reading notes from at this point, But yeah, I mean, Billy Hoyle was a tremendous basketball player. I think Woody, despite not being the most physically athletically gifted star on the set or even in any movie, I thought he was just the most believable basketball player. And it truly looked believable. Now that you look at players like the recently retired JJ Redick, I mean, he kind of fits into that sort of mold. And he's just incredible. I love watching the movie. I think he's believable. And I think that's what makes him the best movie athlete. What do you guys think?
Well, he's definitely believable because it's street basketball. It's not like it's made. It's not like he's kicking ass in college or in the NBA. But let me ask you a question. What's more believable, Scott Howard turning into a werewolf or Billy Hoyle fucking dunking at the end of the basket? There's no fucking
Billy Hoyle
can dunk that goddamn back. Get the fuck out of here. I'd rather see I see a werewolf. This white guy dunking, no fucking way.
I will say this, Bob, to that argument, they were doing practice dunks and they were saying that Woody Harrelson was able to dunk it on maybe like on a 9.5 foot rim. He couldn't dunk it on a 10-foot rim. You're right about that. But to almost
so he interrupted the 8-year-old's basketball game at the local Y so he could dunk it.
He was close, so that means he was getting there.
You're getting there. Hey, you're close. Good stamina. Got a good jump shot. Gives his heart. Again, it's street basketball, and I think that'll hold it back a little bit. He was playing with Wesley, so they're playing a lot of 2-man basketball. It wasn't even a 5-on-5, pickup game. A lot of the games were 2-on-2, which is kind of cool, but it's 2-on-2, man. It's 2-on-2. It's what kids do when they go to the park to go play basketball. So he was, they do mention that he's a former college basketball star at some small school. Knee injury or some shit like that held him back, held him out. So he has a little bit of credentials, but again, he's playing street ball. He's hustling with guys that, were the former has-beens or whatever they were. They were something back when they were in high school and now in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're hustling for extra cash for whatever the hell they need it for, right? So I just think was he believable as a basketball player? Sure. Was it believable that he could dunk? No fucking way.
I think so.
I mean, shit. Wesley Snipes even pumps him up on the sideline. He gives him the pump on the Reeboks. He couldn't dunk with no pressure on him. So I think that holds him back. Like, again, we're talking about the greatest movie athlete of all time. It wasn't even like a team setting. It wasn't even in this grand game like an Alabama game or like Scott Howard in the state championship game. You're talking about street basketball tournament in wherever the fuck they were in California. So I think it holds him back a little. What do you think, Joe?
Look, we're told that he's a former college basketball player. Is it specific that he's a star? I don't remember, but we know that he's a former college basketball player. The thing that got me with both Billy Hoyle and Sidney, was it Dean? I can't. How do you pronounce? Yeah. Dean is the way he pronounces his last name. I just wanted to make sure because of the spelling. They're both like what Bob mentioned. We don't know anything about. I don't remember anything about Sidney's history, but they can play a sport. Yes, they're good at it. They're playing basketball. They're playing street ball, like Bob said, and they're hustling. So the part that gets to me is it's not in like any kind of sanctioned situation. Now, I'm not saying everything needs to be, fucking 100%, on the up and up or whatever, I guess, to call somebody a great athlete. But I think this kind of works at a disadvantage to both of these guys and yours in particular. So they can play. They weren't
even playing like at Rucker Park or you know what I mean, the most famous like outdoor basketball,
But how about
park in the world?
Let me bring this up before you continue. How about that scene where Sidney tries to hustle Billy out of the money, and they're playing 2-on-2, and they still almost win the game just based on Billy's play when Sidney's obviously trying to throw the game.
You have to make it look believable. He was in the fucking zone, man.
I mean, I look at it like you mentioned a lot of the things, and you kind of mentioned it again now, or you did, and I said what I said to you earlier. I'll say what I said to you earlier, just because I mean, it sounds like he's a good coach. Like he can be a hell of a coach. He can see this, and he's got a great vision, and he gets into the zone, and well, that's cool. But we're just, like I said, we're just led to believe that you were a great college basketball player, and hey, yeah, that's cool. But the part that I didn't like about it is this whole hustle thing. It doesn't really sit well with me. At least as far as I know, every individual that we either picked or mentioned is in some kind of sanctioned sport, some kind of thing like that. And I guess for me that's what stands out to me most is just and Bob mentioned it too, just some kind of 2-on-2 thing. It's kind of hard just because of the whole, they're just street players. Like, I mean, is it, are we really calling them like athletes? Because they're not really, I don't know. It's just tough for me. I'm sorry. I'll just leave it at that.
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, a lot of these guys made their start going to Rucker Park, going to all these street ball games.
Yeah, but they played 5-on-5.
And then they ended up in the league. Or some kind of sanction thing, some kind of like I mean, the movie's not.
They had a tournament.
If the movie was about Billy's, yeah, but what kind of tournament?
It was a 2-on-2.
A 2-on-2 tournament. God damn it!
Was it legal?
It was.
The white guys.
I haven't seen this movie in a long time.
He's breaking down stereotypes. I also think I have a special affinity because my son looks like a 7-year-old Woody Harrelson. So I think I actually have a special affinity towards Woody.
Love Woody Harrelson. Woody Harrelson's the man.
No, yeah, love.
I think he was a better athlete as Roy Munson.
He was also in Wildcats. Do you guys remember that football?
Yeah,
game?
of course.
Yeah.
How are you enjoying the game so far? I love Wildcats. Was it Goldie Hawn as their coach?
Yeah,
he was a quarterback that got injured. Yeah,
great movie.
That movie's awesome, man.
That's my argument for Woody Harrelson. I think you guys brought up some great points, but he broke down walls, guys. If it wasn't for him, guys like JJ Redick would not be in the league. So,
guess you never heard of Stockton, John fucking Stockton.
Let's go to our last few questions, guys. What is the most unbelievable get the fuck out of here sports scene? When you look at a sports scene and you replay it, you're like, there's no way that could happen. Like, there's no fucking way.
Air Bud. It's the whole movie.
What about nobody's mentioned Joanna Man? I mean,
does it still make me a man? I love you.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Man. What about Rookie of the Year?
Oh, so much like as in it. True.
What Rookie of the Year? The kid. I don't know what's worse. What's more? It's unbelievable that the kid can throw and pitch and strike out. 100-mile-an-hour strike out these batters, or that he can fucking hear his mom in the middle of a stadium during the biggest moment in the game. Just floated. He can't fucking hear you, lady. This is bullshit. It's always bothered me about that.
I think he was reading her lips, but okay. No.
Yeah, Joanna Man's up there because that's an outrageous thing. It would never. Yeah, it could never happen. You're right. The whole Air Bud, any kind of air this, air whatever, because I think there was like 5 different. He played 6 different sports. That damn dog.
I was trying to think. I think Roy Hobbs in The Natural when he broke the bat and then broke like the light.
He hit the light.
Yeah, he hit the light. Yeah.
Yeah, that was awesome. But that was an awesome.
That was
moment.
awesome. Unbelievable, but awesome to watch.
What was it? What's his name? Damn it! In Major League 2, when he climbs the wall and catches the home run.
Is that Omar
Marbles? Huh?
Tanaka.
Tanaka.
Okay, yeah. What about who's it? Tom Berenger running out the first base throw.
That was an iconic moment. He points to the outfield like goddamn Babe Ruth, and he bunts it. Even the third baseman says shit, and he's because he's playing back. He's not playing forward, so. Tom Bear, he still had something left in the gas tank, baby.
No way he could run that out. I'm afraid that's wrong. But that was a fun scene to watch. I think that last scene in Major League was just from everything in that last scene was perfect. I love that movie.
Who was Willie Mays? Ready scores from second.
Yeah.
It's like hauling ass.
When they bring in Ricky Vaughn and the whole stadium singing Wild thing, I mean, that's fucking awesome too, man. Love that scene. What sport, guys, do you think provides the most interesting movies?
I'm going to have to just continue on with that. I'm going to have to say baseball. I think there's been so many different, compelling, and great baseball movies. You know, it is America's pastime. I think that a lot of them, you know, it's more than just about baseball. It's more than just about the sport. It's about, you know, what it represents or the story it tells about the players and everything. I mean, you've had Field of Dreams. You've had Major League, League of Their Own, Bull Durham, The Sandlot, amazing. The Bad News Bears. 42, The Rookie, The Natural. Fuck, man. I mean, those are all just amazing, amazing baseball movies that had great stories, great writing, were all about, you know, more than just baseball, was a little bit about life. I think they make the most compelling movies out of any other sport.
You know, before you answer, Joseph, I got to agree with you on that, Bob, because I also think the pace of baseball allows for the photography to sort of you could watch somebody talk to their pitch. You could see a pitcher and a catcher interact and then go through the motions of the hits and then go where football is so fast and soccer gets so fast. So this basketball, that for some reason, baseball lends itself to just be photographed brilliantly. And you also have all these personalities in the dugouts and you get to know people. You don't have 55, 65 people on a team like in football. Baseball, you get to really know the players. What about you, Joseph? What sport do you think has the best, most interesting movies?
It's really tough to say. I mean, I think we make more movies are made about baseball and football. It's hard for me to say which ones because I love sports movies in general. I think because sometimes even the boxing ones are great. We assume that there are great. I mean, we know they're great boxing movies. We assume that the fighter or the hero of the movie is going to win, and sometimes they don't. But most of the time they do. So I think that kind of works in his favor. But it's like I think he's right on that one. And if I had to say pick one right now specifically, I'd probably have to agree with baseball. I know we have our basketball movies, but like I just said, there's more football and baseball ones, and now that as I think about it, more we do see that backstory. That's actually a really good pick there, Bob. I got to agree with that one. True.
I definitely have to agree with baseball. And we talked a little bit about this in the beginning, guys. I made the joke about Tom Holland and Timothy Chalamet. Has there been a good sports movie in recent history? I can't think of any. I was talking to my wife and she was like, what was the last good sports movie? And we went back to, last decade, the 2010s, where we named a few of them. I can't think of a sports movie that came out recently.
When did Coach Carter come out? That one was really good.
I
think that one's like 2004, 2005 too. It was a while back. A good sports movie now. Jake Gyllenhaal playing a boxer. What the hell was the name of that one? That was actually pretty damn good too.
I'd have to say boxing because most recently we've had the Creed movies. I mean, that's we haven't had too many. It's been a while since we really had like a good
basketball
sports movie.
Going back, I can't think of anything that really touches on it. Going back to the baseball thing, I think also too there was a big run in like the 70s, 80s, and 90s where when you were kids, the first sport you normally played was baseball. Yeah. So it was like the first sport that you learned that you played on a team and that you kind of fell in love with. And then, watching those movies and the nostalgia they bring up, I think that's what really connects with a lot of people. That's why I think they're some of the better or the most compelling sports movies that are out there. But again, there's been some football ones. There's been some great basketball ones, some boxing, obviously.
Then again, we're also living in the time that we're living in. So production is probably
especially in like movies where you have to. There's like a lot of contact.
Yeah,
and have fans and things years,
like that. When was the last great football movie?
Because that movie you were mentioning with Jake Gyllenhaal was Southpaw. That was 2015. What was that last football movie was with Mark Wahlberg where he made the Philadelphia Eagles?
Oh, Invincible. Yeah, but it was a good one. It was a true story. But even then, that one was what, 2009?
2006, I think.
2006. It came out a while back.
When did the Gridiron Gang come out? That was actually a good movie.
Gridiron Gang was good. Bobby Boucher, The Water Boy. That's still like 2000 early.
Gridiron. Well, this I'm sorry. Gridiron Gang came out in 2006. So that's when Invincible came out too. So we're talking about like even The Longest Yard. Like, okay, it's a funny movie.
Shooting that popcorn.
That came out in 2005. It's actually been a while since we've seen a football movie.
That's kind of crazy that they're not hitting on that. I think right now, especially with everything that's going on or anything that's been going on, should really be like pushing like kids to maybe like get the hell out of the house for a while. Of course, in the safest way possible. But when all this shit clears up, especially like to join a sport, to socialize more, to be into baseball or basketball or football or fucking who cares. Chess, something, anything that they can get outside, man. Get outside and do. I think that if we had more movies about that kind of thing, maybe kids would be more interested in it. You know what I mean?
It was a good sports movie that didn't involve sports. I'm sorry, sports movie, but didn't involve actual like sports scenes and things like that. Did y'all ever watch?
If you say Space Jam 2, I swear to God.
No, did y'all ever watch Draft Day?
Yeah, Draft Day
was good.
It came out in 2014.
Yeah,
that was a great movie.
Yeah. And when we used to watch these like movies based on,
it was an awesome movie, very underrated.
It was a good movie. I did enjoy that one. when you would watch these college football movies, you had like the same guys playing like the lineman, like the guy that played Lattimore on the program.
Yeah,
that big guy in ER. He was a big. If you see him, you know who I'm talking about. But he played an offensive lineman that get along little doggies, where he was like trying to block the. You always saw these guys cast in movies, but you don't see like those guys don't get roles anymore because there are no football movies. There's not a lot of sports movies out there.
There hasn't really been, man. There hasn't really been.
Sports?
I, Tonya was like the last one. That one was fucking good too.
Oh, yeah. I love that one. That was a good one. And of course, that one was based more on the actual,
Yeah, the events, what happened the aftermath, right?
But I mean, I think we're hurt because sports is such a great, and you guys grew up playing sports. You guys played for a really good football coach back in the day. So that sports has such a background. It provides a lot of, personalities. It involves a lot of, and you could have so many storylines. Did you guys watch Friday Night Lights, the TV series? Because I'm rewatching it. It's fantastic. I mean,
I remember I caught the first season. I really liked it. It was just happened to be a time in my life where we were super busy and being like, I need to watch this, and I never really got around to it. But the season I did watch, I want to say I watched the first season, and I caught like a few of the episodes in season 3 or season 4, and it was really good, man. I really liked what I got to see. I just never really got around to like binge watching, season after season.
It's great. It's on Netflix. You check it out when you have a chance. It's just, there's so many truths to it. And Joseph, you watched that show, did you?
No, I did not.
Joseph loved the movie.
The movie was good.
The movie was good. The TV show, I always kind of looked at it like, I was like, okay, well, how are you going to extend this fucking thing? Like, how are you going to make it last? Like, granted, I think I mean, obviously it's not in the air anymore. And what did it do? Like 3 seasons, I think.
3-4 seasons. Yeah.
Like, how do you extend? And but it's not based on like. It's called Friday Night Lights. Season, it's not based on the team though, right? Or is it the team, but not that particular team?
Yeah, it's kind of not. It kind of like.
Yeah, it ran 5 seasons, 2006, 2011. But there's a lot of like small town, like
the jokes I hear about that show though is they say you can completely skip the second season. I heard that in a movie, like somebody talking about Friday Night Lights, and they're like, well, you can just skip the entire second season, because it like apparently didn't make like any sense, like, and then they kind of like. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that's
true.
I know
what you did last summer make any sense? I don't think so.
Also, and I think we talked about this earlier, Ted Lasso, the background for that show is soccer. And we talked about it earlier. And there's some great soccer. I mean, yeah, it's unbelievable because it's some of the scenes are obviously played for laughs or whatever. But just having all those personalities in the locker room and how some people are showing like conflicts and leadership and all that. Sports is just the ultimate like bonding experience where you get all these personalities and you get all this competitiveness and just action and drama. It's just a wonderful platform.
Yeah, it is, man. It is. I think it's important for kids to get some kind of something like that. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Even if it's like I said, I always say like, oh, band and orchestra and choir and chess and all those extracurricular activities and UIL stuff. That I think that's fantastic. Really, really is. And I think just in the day that we're living in, especially since we've kind of all been, I don't want to say stuck at home, but kind of forced to reevaluate our lives and kind of change things the way we think, where we all were, or the things we did, and we've been stuck at home. I don't want to use that phrase, but we've been kind of stuck at home for the past couple of years. I think it'd be good for, these young kids to kind of get out there more, like get again, as safely as possible, or if they want to wait until everybody's vaccinated or whatever the hell your stance on everything is, don't never want to go into that. But to get out more and to play sports and to socialize, like I think it's extremely important with the kids and the youth right now.
Guys, any last words on movie athletes?
A werewolf can dunk, but Billy Ho can't. That's all I'm gonna fucking say. That's all I'm gonna fucking say.
Joseph?
No, I think that there's so many that we could have. I know there's some that our picks are probably they're not maybe the most conventional, and we could have gone with like straight up movie athletes, that played a whole movie based on a particular athlete. But I just think that it's a good thing. The sports movies and sports athletes, they're awesome. I mean, if it makes you get up and go do something, or makes you believe in yourself, and say, especially seeing somebody that maybe from all kinds of races and things and whatnot, and seeing somebody do something in an awesome movie, I think it's cool. And there's so many, and they're all, some of them are not believable, but a lot of them, hey, they're just fun.
Hey, I'm surprised that you didn't mention Shaquille O'Neal in Blue Chips, man.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he was a fucking dominant athlete.
He was.
You know what I mean? It was probably based on his own fucking life because he was dominating high school.
Same thing. I had the same dilemma with Ray Allen, and he got game. Just, I mean, you know, these guys aren't acting as they're athletic already. You know, so they already had that advantage. But a good show, guys. That's our show, everyone. Listeners, we'd like to hear from you. I'll have to edit out that awkwardness. Listeners, we'd like to hear from you. Who do you think is the best movie athlete? Who did we not mention? Most importantly, let us know what you think about the show. You may reach us at formidableopponents@gmail.com and follow us on Twitter and on Instagram. Just search for Formidable Opponents. Join us next week as we talk best 80s rock song. For Bob and Joseph, this is Randall. We'll see y'all next week.
If I was going somewhere, I was running.